Hey coin collectors and history buffs, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of ultra rare US 1 cent coins, the kind of pennies that are worth way more than a single cent. If you've got a penny jar at home, you might want to pay extra attention because some of these coins could be hiding in plain sight. Let's get into the top 5 ultra rare US 1 cent coins, their fascinating history, and of course their jaw-dropping values. Make sure to stick around till the end to find out which coin tops the list. 1968 1 cent. 1.7 billion. In 1968, the US Mint made some important changes that set this year apart. One of the most notable is the relocation of the mint mark, which had previously appeared on the reverse of the coin. Starting in 1968, the mint mark was moved to the obverse right under the date. Let's take a closer look at the design of the 1968 Lincoln cent. On the obverse, we have Victor David Brenner's classic portrayal of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained largely unchanged since 1909. The word liberty is stamped to the left, and to the right we have the year 1968. The mint mark, which indicates where the coin was minted, appears just below the date. If your 1968 cent has no mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. If there's a D, it was minted in Denver, and an S means it was struck in San Francisco. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a feature introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Above, the words United States of America are boldly displayed, and along with E pluribus unum and 1 cent at the bottom. Now, let's talk about what this coin is made of. The 1968 Lincoln cent is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighs 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. But here's something to remember: in 1982, the composition of the Lincoln cent changed to a copper-plated zinc. So, the pre-1982 coins like this 1968 cent are worth more than just face value due to their copper content. Next, let's dive into mintages. In 1968, the US Mint produced a staggering number of Lincoln cents. Over 1.7 billion were minted between Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia, no mint mark, 1,707,880,970. Denver D, 2,886,269,100. San Francisco S proof business strikes 258,270,001. Because of the large number of coins minted, most 1968 Lincoln cents are considered common in circulated condition. However, there are a few varieties and errors that can significantly increase a coin's value. 1979 D 1 cent. The 1979 D Lincoln cent was minted at the Denver Mint, hence the small d mint mark below the date. 1979 was an interesting year in US history, with inflation and rising metal costs affecting coin production. This penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which started back in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. The reverse shows the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a design used from 1959 until 2008. This coin marks the later years of the copper alloy composition for pennies, before the switch to copper-plated zinc in 1982. Over 4 billion 1979 D pennies were minted, so these coins are definitely common in circulation. That means most of them don't hold significant value unless they are in exceptional condition. But what should you be looking for? Now let's talk about value. In circulated condition, most 1979 D pennies are worth just face value, a single cent. However, if you have a coin in mint state condition, meaning it hasn't been touched much since it was minted, you could be looking at something more. A mint state example can sell for around $5 to $10 depending on its exact condition. And if you happen to have one graded by a third-party grading service as MS66 or higher, the value can jump to around $30 to $50. Top graded coins, especially in MS67 or MS68, are much rarer and can even go for over $100 at auction. Now, this is where things get interesting. Like many coins, the 1979 D Lincoln cent can have error varieties. These are coins that were struck improperly or have unique features, making them highly collectible. Some key errors to look out for on the 1979 D penny include double die, obverse DDO. This is when the die strikes the coin twice, leading to a doubling effect on the date or lettering. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, leading to a partial blank area on the coin. Die cracks, small cracks in the die can result in raised lines on the coin, often across Lincoln's portrait. Error coins can significantly increase the value of a 1979 D penny. Some of these errors have sold for $50, $100, or even more at auctions. 1967 1 cent. 3.0 billion. The year 1967 was quite a memorable one for many reasons. The United States was in the middle of significant cultural changes, with the Vietnam War ongoing and the civil rights movement gaining momentum. The US Mint was also responding to a national coin shortage caused by the rising value of silver. That's right. In the 1960s, the US was facing a shortage of silver, and the demand for coins, especially the lower denominations, increased. To deal with this, the Mint ramped up production of 1 cent coins, which were made from 95% copper and 5% zinc. The 1967 1 cent coin, often referred to as a Lincoln cent, features President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, a design that had been in use since 1909, marking the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The reverse shows the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which was added in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Look closely and you'll even see a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. Pretty cool, right? But there's something unique about the 1967 penny. You might notice that it doesn't have a mint mark. Typically, coins struck in Philadelphia do not have a mint mark. But in 1967, this was intentional across all mints. Why? Well, from 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint decided to eliminate mint marks to discourage coin hoarding. Collectors were grabbing coins from circulation, thinking they'd be rare. So the government wanted to stop this by removing mint marks for a few years. In terms of production, over 3 billion pennies were minted in 1967. That's a lot of pennies. Because of this high number, 1967 pennies are quite common and don't have much numismatic value in circulated condition. All right, let's talk about value. If you have a 1967 penny in average circulated condition, it's worth ... 1 cent. Yep, unfortunately, most of these pennies have no extra value because so many were made and they're not considered rare. 1973 1 cent, 3.7 billion. The 1 cent coin is one of the most iconic pieces of American currency, but 1973 holds a unique place in its long history. The Lincoln Memorial penny, as we know it, was first introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, replacing the earlier wheat ears design. By 1973, the penny had become a staple of American pocket change, but the coin itself reflected the economic struggles of the time. The United States was experiencing rising inflation and a push to reduce the cost of producing pennies. And this economic pressure would soon result in a significant change, but not until 1982, so the 1973 penny was among the last to be produced with the original bronze composition. The 1973 Lincoln penny was struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition made the coin heavier than modern pennies, which were switched to a copper-plated zinc format starting in 1982 to reduce production costs. In terms of mintage, millions of these pennies were produced in 1973 at 3 different U.S. mints. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, over 3.7 billion pennies were struck. Denver Mint D mint mark, over 3.4 billion pennies were struck. San Francisco Mint S mint mark, around 319 million were produced, primarily for proof sets. While the 1973 penny is common in circulation, proof coins from San Francisco are less frequently found, making them more desirable for collectors. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse, we see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the 16th president. Above Lincoln's head is the word Liberty, and to the right, we have the date 1973. On many coins, you'll also notice a small D or S mint mark below the date, indicating the Denver or San Francisco mints, respectively. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly at the center. If you look closely, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln in the center of the memorial. Above the memorial, the words United States of America are inscribed, and beneath it, 1 cent. The Latin motto E pluribus unum is displayed between these two inscriptions. Now let's talk about value. In general, 1973 pennies are quite common, so circulated examples won't carry much premium. In fact, most circulated 1973 pennies are worth just their face value, 1 cent. However, condition is key. Uncirculated or mint state coins, those that haven't been handled or worn down, are much more valuable to collectors. If you have a 1973 penny in pristine condition, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $10, depending on its grade. Additionally, proof coins from the San Francisco Mint can be worth between $1 and $3 for standard examples, while higher quality proof pennies, especially those graded by services like PCGS or NGC, can reach values of $10 or more. Keep an eye out for error coins as well. Coins with minting mistakes such as off-center strikes or double dies can be worth $50 to $500 or even more, depending on the rarity and severity of the error. 1974 1 cent. 4.2 billion. Before we talk value, let's go back in time to 1974. The U.S. 1 cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, which was designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The reverse side shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 and created by Frank Gasparo. By 1974, this penny had already been a staple in American currency for over 60 years. The 1974 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, this was a significant year because the U.S. Mint was experimenting with a possible switch to aluminum for pennies due to rising copper prices. Although no aluminum pennies were released into circulation, over 1 million were minted. But that's a story for another video. Let's stick to the copper penny that we're all familiar with. Now, the 1974 Lincoln cent was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia no mint mark, Denver D mint mark, and San Francisco S mint mark. In general, these coins were minted in huge quantities, with over 4 billion produced. So common 1974 pennies are usually worth only their face value. However, there are a few exceptions that you need to know about. The real value of a 1974 penny comes down to its condition, any mint errors, and if it's a rare variety. Let's break it down. If your 1974 penny is in mint state condition, meaning it's practically flawless with no signs of wear, it could be worth more to collectors. Coins graded MS65 or higher can fetch anywhere between $5 to $20. But even pennies in lower grades might be worth a few bucks if they're in particularly good shape. Mint errors. Look out for errors like off-center strikes, double dies, or repunched mint marks. These errors can make your penny much more valuable. Some error pennies have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you have a 1974 S-proof penny, which was made specifically for collectors, it can be worth $1 to $5 or more, depending on the condition. These proof pennies are known for their shiny mirror-like finish. So how much could your 1974 penny be worth? Here's a quick breakdown. Common circulated 1974 penny usually worth 1 cent. Uncirculated MS65 or higher $5 to $20. Error coins, depending on the error, they can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. 1974 S-proof penny typically worth $1 to $5. So is your 1974 penny worth a fortune? While most are only worth a cent, rare varieties and error coins could bring in some real cash. Always check your pennies closely and consider getting them graded if you